Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of The Collective. I'm your host, Stevie J, and today I have the Grandmaster Funk himself, also known as Shapes, or also known as the only white member of the Wu-Tang Clan. That's Chris Ryan.
I didn't realize you were going to read out my entire
repertoire, biography. Yes. So we've jumped into this podcast, interestingly, because we've been speaking for the last 10 minutes and we're talking about porn straight away. So we're looking at
more interestingly, porn stars and
porn stars,
people performing.
Jonathan Sins
from Brazzers.
So if you have from Brazzers, if you have a quick look at Johnny Sins, all the boys out there, I'm sure will know who Jonathan Sins is.
Like I was just saying, I feel like I'm really out of the loop with porn stars these days. I might be one of the.
Is that a sign you're getting old and boring?
Potentially. I recognize the big names there.
I'm just looking up the top 10 male porn stars on Pornhub. I think that's fair. And
yeah,
I think you just cut out. Were you just talking then or not?
Yeah, sorry, I was being really quiet because we got to fucking.
Ooh, who's this? Yep, Johnny Sins, number 2. I don't know anyone else on this list apart from Ron Jeremy.
Where are you actually looking? Where's your list? Where are you looking at?
I've just literally looked up the top 10 male porn stars. Danny D. I reckon I've seen his cock in a porno for sure. He's a British guy.
I'm sure I've seen his cock in a porn.
Rico Strong. That guy's they've all got fucking delicious names.
Yeah,
Even though Johnny Sins' real name is Stephen Wolf. Yeah, I would say he probably should have kept that. Or done some
Rico Strong's a good name though. That's a good strong name for strong people.
It is. As for a strong black man with the BBC.
He's not Lexington Steele though.
No, that is someone that I've heard. I'm going to quick Google that guy. Lexington.
I've got a friend called Lex, and we used to call him Lexington Steele.
Yes. How old is he now? Oh, he's 50 years old.
He's been in the game.
Course.
I'm talking when I was a teenager, he was in the game.
He is from 1969. Of course he is. 69. He's the 3 times AVN Performer of the Year. What a man. What a man.
Yeah, I'm just looking at all these names, and there's people I just don't even fucking recognize anymore. You know what's really interesting though? I'm just looking at the top ranked models and porn stars on Pornhub, and one of the highest ranked people now is I don't know if you've ever heard of her, Leo Lulu. She's she's like a home amateur sort of star, and you never see her face or anything like that.
Oh, right. So she's like an unknown.
Yeah, no one actually she covers her face. So she could be fucking anybody.
It could literally be anybody.
She could be she could be 2 people in the list. She could be
that could literally be Paddy's mum. We wouldn't even know.
That could be like Adriana Chechik but you can't see her face.
Or probably not Riley Reid. You'd be able to tell that.
No, you definitely
from a mile away.
You'd spot the back tattoo.
Yes.
That, and she's tiny. She's like a really little person.
Riley.
Yeah, she's a mini little pocket rocket thing.
I think she's in a lot of the Raka Raka videos these days. Actually. Yeah, the lads that do. They used to do those videos back in the day. The Lord of the Rings and the Mortal Kombat ones and stuff.
Rackers?
Yeah, you'd 100% know who they are. Yeah, I think they do some fucking videos with her, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, she's one of those...
Oh, that's right. They're the Ronald McDonald guys. That's the one they're known for.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're a Ronald McDonald guy.
Yeah, so I just went to Raka Raka's Instagram feed here, and their 4th most recent photo literally has Riley Reid in it with a fucking Christmas hat on. So, Santa hat. So, yeah, they do something with her.
Well, I'm going to close Pornhub now because
Oh, apparently Raka Raka made the news because they went up to the people for the Area 51 raid, and he was dressed as an alien with Riley Reid. Classic. That is some good shit.
So apart from talking about naked people,
Porn stars. Let's go into something serious. We can do a coin flip here. We can either do coronavirus, or we can do George Pell. What? We're going to do both anyway, so what do you want to jump into first? You got a preference?
I just flipped the shittest coin ever. I've got a coin that's like covered in dirt. And I flipped it.
It's from fucking 1837. It's from 1837.
It's actually from 1986.
Oh, good year that.
And it celebrated the International Year of Peace.
This year is the International Year of Peace.
This year's the International Year of Stay the fuck inside, you dickheads.
This is the International Year of Fuck Mountain. This is that year.
That's it. We're doing it. We're going to Fuck Mountain this year. 2020, lock it in, lads.
Glorious.
Look, the Pell one, I don't have much to say about it, to be honest. That's like obviously for people that are listening. Yesterday, George Pell got let off. It's not unfortunate. It's an important part of how our legal system works. Appeals happen all the time, especially when the defence has, what has become a pretty good case against the jury. Where they've just said straight, basically there wasn't enough reasonable doubt involved in their judgment getting passed. So effectively, the evidence provided wasn't enough evidence, or not enough there was too much reasonable doubt in the evidence for it to be so unanimous, which means then things like status comes into play a lot, which is why we didn't, that was why that media blackout happened, and we couldn't talk about, no one could talk about it for a while, is because you can't have the public knowing about this case.
Oh, of course. Imagine being a juror, and I was just literally saying this yesterday, and in the case of George Pell, who the fuck is not going to know that name?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And in this country especially.
And that's it. And, it's not just that people would know who he is, but the second the media hears about that is it. Everyone knows about it. And it was so bizarre because it was one of those things where when the blackout happened it was December or something like that, it was one of those things that everyone knew about at the same time.
Yes.
So we had this sort of weird moment where we're all like, none of us are allowed to talk about it, but we all know what's going on and who it's about and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. Is there a name for that?
The blackout.
Is there? Yeah, it's like a Latin name for it or something.
Oh, I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, just as I think I've heard that. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I think there's one that stops that from happening. Basically.
Yeah, and it's a very important part of our legal system because again, you coming in, especially when you have to have a jury, coming in knowing about the case is so bad. It taints every witness, especially on a high profile. So yeah, it was almost a foregone conclusion. I feel like the second he got to the third appeal, that it was just going to go through anyway, just because that's just how this system works.
If he had have lost his appeal yesterday, is that it? Good night. He would be in jail, and there's no higher court in Australia.
He was at the highest. So
yes, yep,
yeah, he wouldn't have been able to go any higher, and yeah, he would have been still in prison. But unfortunately,
just from an outsider's perspective, do you think that he's guilty?
Yes, most definitely guilty.
Yes. Yep.
I think I've said it to you before, but I grew up in a part of the country where Bishop Mulcairns and I can never remember his first name. Last name Brian Risdale, something like that. Risdale's
Old
his last
mate.
name. Old mate.
Old mate Risdale.
So pretty much Risdale was the one that was raping a heap of kids. Mulkern was the one moving him around the central Victoria. And Pell at the time was the Archbishop of Melbourne.
How high did Pell make it? He was third, wasn't he?
Third highest in the whole church. So he was the treasurer of the church.
Oh, treasurer of all the treasure hoarding.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the most powerful men in the church, which is one of the most powerful organizations in the world. Definitely one of the richest organizations in the world.
I'm aware of someone who's also a powerful man from a powerful club, the Pell Football Club. His name's Patrick Mead.
We got him here. Is he ringing in?
Oh, we should ring him in, lads. No. He's banned. He's banned from the house and banned from this call.
Yeah.
I guess we can.
Yeah. And while disappointing, unfortunately, that's how our system works. Well, unfortunately for the victims, that's how our system works. Fortunately for him, that's how our system works.
I suppose, the other aspect of it is, what if there was someone out there that had been abused that was watching this case closely because they were in a similar position where they'd been abused by someone in power, and now, due to this, they have a fear of coming out,
Exactly.
I guess.
And that guy was while he was anonymous, they tried their best to expose his name. They try, there was plenty of people out there that were trying to make Witness J a real person, which is not how our legal system works. If you're anonymous, you stay anonymous, unless you choose not to, unless it's crucial to the whole thing. I feel sorry for a lot of people. It's something like 10% of child abuse cases happen to children, like young children, and then of those, like 60% don't speak out. So
that's pretty high numbers.
It's pretty sad, and big cases like this, Witness J, he's come out already and started speaking about it and has said that while that's just how the cookie crumbles, it's not at all the truth, or my version of the truth. But we also can't have a society built we have to have a presumption of innocence before guilty. And while I personally think he's as guilty as fuck for a number of reasons, the biggest issue I've always had with Pell was that he was the guy who knew it all. And even if he didn't touch a kid, he is just as guilty as the guys that did. And
of course.
Yeah, he's the guy who pushed it, pushed them around, moved them to different places, kept it under wraps. They were all like mates in Ballarat together. They all hung out in Ballarat together. It's
like when you get done for murder and you get it done as an accomplice to murder. How is this any different?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not even like an accomplice is someone that just knows about a murder that doesn't tell anyone. Like, this guy is actively moving it. This is the guy who's giving the guy that's committed the murder the gun to go and commit another murder after finding out he's just committed a murder. And then hiding the gun for him. Yeah. And all you need to do is look at places like Ireland, where it was a huge issue for so long. It's gone on for forever. It's always happened, and it will continue to happen until we stop letting them do it.
Stop letting Andrew Bolt write articles. That'd be great. Thanks.
Fuck Andrew Bolt. That guy.
So from someone who doesn't follow politics as much as yourself, Andrew Bolt is right wing.
Oh, very right wing.
Yep.
He's socially progressive in a lot of ways. So sometimes it's hard to pick, and that I actually got a lot of praise from him on that. He doesn't sit on the right for absolutely everything. He moves around a little bit, but he also devotes more energy to protecting the status quo than he does to implementing change. He's a very powerful person in the country who is not who's not using his voice for good. He uses it to protect, powerful people around him. He uses it to protect...
Old Rupert.
Yeah. He pretty much sits there and, spouts what he's told to spout. He's not...
He's considered outspoken, but in a way, like...
But he's, definitely made a career out of being outspoken. And it really pisses me off that, when I was in high school, he was, when I was doing VCE English, he was the columnist that we did a lot of our Year 12, media analysis and things like that on.
Yep.
And that's... firstly, not cool.
So does that mean that if you were doing your Year 12 works on him, did the teacher mark you based upon their own political beliefs?
Well, no, because you're...
Like a bias?
You're just... So you're going into it without bias. You're going into it and picking apart an argument. The way that it's actually, the way he's written it and broken it down and everything like that. So you're sitting there and dissecting his column and then trying to pick out the parts where he's used bias or where he's used evocative language or persuasive language and things like that. But when we were in high school, we're just oh, well, he must be a good columnist if this is the case. And then you find out years later, no, he's actually a piece of shit that's, poisoned the well quite seriously when it comes to any sort of major... political commentary in Australia, because he's all he does is sits there and lubes up people like John Howard and Tony Abbott and people like that. He seems to be more on the side of the right faction of the Liberal Party. So he's more in line with the Tony Abbotts of the group of the party, the Peter Dutton, those sort of people.
Tony.
Today,
Junior.
You didn't say anything, Tony. I'm giving you the answer you deserve. Well, it's still my favourite thing that I've ever seen in politics. It's such a fantastic moment.
I think it was on Channel 7 the other night. The interviewer was getting stuck into I think it was the New South Wales health minister, maybe, about this
God.
Princess
Ruby.
Ruby.
That dude is dead. He is so done.
And this guy's just not answering the question at all. And he's like, mate, I'm not here for a politician spin. Just give me an answer. He just had nothing.
Yeah.
But it would be refreshing, I think, for someone like that who you say is dead in the water, and I would agree. It'd be refreshing for someone like that to just go out and just be like, fuck this, I'm mic dropping, and you know what?
Yeah.
I fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what? I fucked up. But no, they have to protect themselves at all costs. So I think it's an ego thing.
The image of the party. And it gets interesting because then you've got things like you're not only protecting the image of the party, you've got to protect the machinations of how the political class operates. You've got to sort of stop. You can't pull the layer back too far and find out that all these guys, while on different sides of a room in the parliament, they're all co-workers. They're all going to the same job every day. They're all hanging out in the same pubs after work. They're all,
Oh, they can't right now.
Together. Well, yeah, they can't right now, but but yeah, you're
imagine if they found that out, that there was a bunch of fucking liberal pollies that were just going to a fucking
just
pub.
Just imagine if they found out that the bill for the bar at Parliament House was a few $100,000 a month.
Is it actually?
Yeah, it's
wow,
huge.
That's insane.
It's humongous.
Politicians spending. I mean, if you broke it down, it would be pretty insane.
Yeah, it's pretty mental.
But has it been like that, throughout, say, the last 20 years? Doesn't matter whether it's Liberal or Labor. It seems to be
since. Well, see, in the last 20 years, it's really interesting because we've had even the last 30 years of politics. So in the last, I think it's 27 years now, we've had, or 28 years now, we've had Liberals in charge, except for 6 years.
Yeah.
So we have this.
Who has that been? Kevin Rudd.
Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard. So the two.
That's it.
Yeah, the two Labor runs, where it was Kevin Rudd's first term, and then he got knifed just before the next election, and then Julia Gillard won with the minority government, and then later on Rudd backstabbed her and got back in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Have you sat down and watched that interview that Friendly Geordies did with Kevin Rudd?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, that's a really good one if you want to see the mask get peeled back on how, well, in particular, the Labor Party works.
Yep.
You know, Rudd wasn't very popular in the Labor Party to begin with. He wasn't really the sort of guy that had a lot of friends in the party.
Why? Can you give me a quick rundown?
There's probably a number of things. He's a bit of an outsider. He's from a rural part of Queensland. He's definitely not what you would class as a core political person. You look at any major politician in the last, say, probably 30, 40 years. They've all been from inner city. Tony Abbott's from the North Shore.
Geordie Shore.
He's like one of the richest parts of Sydney. And then, Scott Morrison's from the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, so like eastern suburbs of Sydney, down near like Bondi Beach. Before that, Gillard's from inner Melbourne, like inner West Melbourne. And who else have you got? Oh, Turnbull's like North Shore as well. Like they're all just in these really affluent parts of the city, and Rudd kind of came from the outside of it. He wasn't from those sorts of places.
So I know they may not have the same. I just want to use a comparison to someone who's modern, possibly. They may not have obviously the same beliefs or anything, but in terms of being an outsider of their party, would you say like similar to Bernie Sanders in America?
Yeah. In some ways, Bernie's been a senator for like 40-something years now. He's 500
fucking years. The cunt's old as shit.
The dude's like, he's so old.
Look at Trump, Biden, and fucking. You could add them all together, and they would be able to take you back to the Battle of Hastings. That's how old they are.
Yeah. And you're not even looking at like the Supreme Court, where those people get put in jobs for life, and they're all like 4,000 years old. It's like they're like dinosaurs. I feel like they just get all these like super old rich people in the same room to try and figure out the secret to like the longevity of life.
I would say that and this is you leaning back on your historical knowledge, but it's probably been the same way throughout history.
Yeah. You look at any culture, any society, any civilization, and the people that held the power tended to be older because they had more time to build their influence. Build fortunes, build influence. You've got, you look at Rome. Like Julius Caesar was a bit of a young upstart at like 46 or something. Like he was classed as a young'un at the time. Magnus Pompey, who was one of the other in the Triumvirate when he took over, when that was running, he was like in his like late 60s or something like that. Like that was
69, something about that.
Something around 69. Magnus Pompey was badass.
What a fucking name.
Pompey was a badass. He was in a time when Rome needed a badass. He was kind of like he was like their what do you call him, Bob Hawke. Like he was just that like just a hard ass,
just skull and fucking beers.
Yeah, well, probably wouldn't have been skull and beers. He wasn't a man of the people though. Whereas that's what made Caesar such a polarizing figure, was because he was like very 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 good at talking to common folk.
Yep.
Especially as soldiers. Like
the peasants. You mean the peasants?
Well, the plebeians, they were called.
Plebeians?
Yeah. The lower part of society.
Yes.
Because Rome was in pretty much a two-tiered system where they had the aristocracy and then the plebeians.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, he was very good at relating and talking to his soldiers in particular, which meant he had a very large, very, very large army, and was sort of able to use that to influence politics in a lot of ways. Because when you turn up to work with a massive like group of guys behind you saying, "Yeah, we'll fight for you," that's when your boss has to go, "Oh shit, maybe you should stay home today, mate." and that's what happened too. Like he turned up in Rome with this fucking army. Now at the time it was illegal for you to get within a certain range of Rome with an army.
Yep.
So when he turned up with his army, they're like, "You're not allowed to do that." And he goes, "Oh, I'm just bringing my army home for a triumph, which was like a big military parade." So when big armies came back from big campaigns, they'd come back and have like a massive parade like done for them. It'd go for like days at a time. It was just huge bit of pomp and bullshit, and it was just like a huge wank session pretty much for.
Oh, beautiful! Get around that.
Yeah, get around that. and then
Go skiing.
And then
We're going skiing in Rome, boys.
And they're like, "Okay, we'll give you your triumph." And he went through, but he went through with like red face paint on, which made him
Kane from WWF.
Yeah, it made him look like Kane from WWF. And he also, and because the Romans were really, really superstitious at the time, he also paid off a whole bunch of people to like let a heap of birds fly as he came through. So everyone saw that as its omen that like he was like this like godlike figure that had come back. He was like this, warrior that was covered in blood, and he was like the chosen one sort of thing, and everyone was like, shit. And that's why they eventually had to kill him, because they're like, oh shit, this guy's really good at messaging, just like anyone really.
What year was this, or roughly? We're talking here.
Shit.
We're talking BC or AD?
Yeah, just before BC. It was like 30 something.
Now you might be able to. I'm not even going to look this up. Right, but I always thought as a kid, I know it's wrong now, but I know BC is before Christ.
No.
It's not before Christ.
No, it's not. Okay, so.
Fuck, so I'm wrong.
Okay,
I always thought it was before Christ and after death, and I know I'm wrong.
So, it depends who you ask. You got to remember, for a long time, the only history and schooling and things like that came from the church.
Yep.
So we called it before Christ because that's what the church said. Now, Jesus wasn't born on 0 BC. Like, he wasn't born at the middle.
That's how I was like, what the fuck? This doesn't fucking work.
Doesn't actually line up that way. They reckon he was born somewhere early AD, like maybe somewhere between sort of 1 and 15-ish. It was during Octavian Caesar's, or Caesar Octavian, his reign. Because if you go back and match the history of it at the time, and this is something that a lot of people, they always say that Jesus didn't exist, but there's a shitload of evidence to suggest someone along those lines did exist.
Of course.
Yeah. But
was he a white guy, though?
He definitely wasn't a white guy. He was a Middle Eastern Jew. So he was very, very Middle Eastern looking.
Right.
Yeah. Like, when you look at the people that come from Jerusalem, they're not white.
Of course.
Yeah. And back in these days, it was much more heavily influenced from the Far East, or what they called the Far East at the time, which was like that sort of Syria area.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Syrian. I am serious.
But would Jesus have been able to spit fire and be the 10th member of the Wu-Tang Clan? Probably not.
Look, I don't think so.
I
think Jesus' words had resonance,
but no rhyme.
He was good at saying things, but he had no flow.
Nah,
and that's what you need. You need flow.
Correct. Yes, I'm just looking here. AD is a Latin phrase, Anno Domini.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. And so BC will depend on who you ask. It used to most people, it means before Christ, whereas pretty much any historian now will call it BCE.
Right, yes.
So before classical era is what it's called. And then, AD has actually been rebranded to CE, so is now classical era.
Right.
So... yeah,
Jesus, you confusing me, man. Too many fucking abbreviations.
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, and it just pretty much made it a secular thing. Whereas it's Jesus wasn't important at all in 5
Whoa,
AD or
whoa,
whatever he was saying. It took like do you know what year the Romans brought Christianity in as a state religion?
Oh,
it was like
no idea.
330-ish CE. So 330 years after he died, they
Sure.
brought it in.
Yep. So for a 330-year period,
it was a cult.
What the fuck, man?
It was a cult.
What the fuck?
It was classed as a cult. Roman emperors quite often burnt Christian cultists alive. Nero very famously used to just burn them alive in his front yard while having dinner parties and shit like that. Again, also, history is written by the victors, and the victors didn't like Julius Caesar, and the victors didn't like Nero.
I think that would be. I think that was probably something that, would you consider yourself a history buff? Like, as in, you
just about some history.
Yeah. But you'd love learning about history, right?
Yeah.
Could you say that?
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to, have all-seeing knowledge, wouldn't you just love the opportunity to go back through history and look at the things that actually were fucking false? That are like
definitely.
I
would honestly like a lot of the. So, for example, like if you just look at Caesar as a figure, a lot of the writings about Caesar come from 2 or 3 sources. The main one being himself.
Oh, mate.
Yep. So he wrote a book about himself and his conquest of Gaul.
Was it called Mein Kampf?
No, it was called Caesar, my summer in Gaul. No, it was like
Caesar salad.
It was like
the book
Caesar the Gaulish campaign or something like that. Or He had his own story, which is what he wrote on the go. While he spent like years over in what's now sort of Central Europe.
Oh, he had a laptop or tablet, did he? On the go?
Yeah. He was one of the first people that sort of brought about working from home. That's why they killed him. They didn't want that. It was too much of a comeuppance to the.
So explain like you said, the history is written by the victor. Explain the version of events that led up to the killing of Caesar and the actual event itself. Yeah, just for someone that myself that has no
like
idea.
I said, a few things led to it. There was a defining thing that actually resulted in it, but it was sort of a number of things. Like I said, he returned to Rome illegally, and upset a lot of the status quo.
On a boat, bloody
not
people.
on a boat. He walked in. He marched him in
with these big fucking balls, just like I don't know what I want.
Pretty much. So. You may or may not have heard of the term crossing the Rubicon, which is pretty much a term that people use to hit the point of no return. If you cross the Rubicon,
I have actually heard of that before.
Yeah, the Rubicon's a river in Rome.
Yep.
Or in Italy. And that's pretty much the border that when he marched his troops across that river, that's when it became a problem. Now, they forgave him, and they saw it as bad optics and everything like that to publicly punish him for that. They thought if we denied him that, one of our greatest military heroes at the time, imagine if, say, for example, the guy that runs the USS Theodore Roosevelt decided to ignore orders given to him and turn his ship around to prevent all of his troops from getting coronavirus and dying.
Yes.
Getting sacked for something like that is a really big mistake. And America made that mistake like 2 days ago.
Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of people are very upset. And it's led to the resignation of like one of their top Navy admirals.
I did see that actually just before, yeah.
Yeah, because one of these guys... for the safety of his own troops and for the safety of a lot of people, said no, pretty much, and they sacked him for it. Yeah. So it's the same sort of thing. Like, it would look really bad if you just did something amazing for the empire, or not the empire at the time, it was the Republic at the time. If you did something really amazing for the Republic and then they turned around and said, no, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed
Stop
to have
what you are doing.
You're not allowed to. We aren't going to celebrate you. So that was the first big thing. He was like sort of flying in the face of danger with that. there was a few other things. You had the sort of shaky period in between where they had the triumvirate, or the first triumvirate, when they had two of those, which is 3 different people running the Roman Empire. So
that's interesting.
So it got to the point where the Roman Republic or Empire, the entire civilization was massive. And still, even in today's standards, quite big. It went from like further than Syria all the way across to Spain, all the way up to, I think, Scotland, as far as York in England, and like, you know, the top bit of Africa. They had a really good relationship with Egypt at the time.
Yep.
And Caesar got put in charge of that part.
Yep.
And then he sort of went a bit weird, and everyone got a little bit upset with him because he spent a lot of time over there and made some deals with them that sort of worked more in his favour than the Republic's favour. And then he started doing things like...
Coke.
Pretty much. He did a lot of cocaine. No, they got really upset because for a lot of the time they were saying that, you know, he was using this influence to push, to get his own way a lot. And a lot of people started saying, this is going to lead to something bad. He's trying to become a king, trying to become an empire, and an emperor, and a tyrant, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And the word tyrant comes from from Roman history. You know, that's the name of their last king, Tyrannicus. Like, they have these. The Republic had lasted for hundreds and hundreds of years at this point, and it was seen as the best option.
Yep.
So they saw him as this huge threat to the Republic, and then one thing led to another. He gets given the emergency powers of dictator.
Yep.
Or he sort of gets one of his guys to give him the power of dictator. And then the others don't have a choice and go along with it. And then they get really upset by that fact that he has now given himself effectively the entire empire under his own name. And there's like a really short little war. And then they kill him. And then all of the people that killed him ran away and hid.
I believe that, isn't that the story that they all stabbed him?
Yeah. So he's turned up at Senate one day on March
23rd, my birthday.
Yes, the Ides of March.
Is it actually the 23rd?
I'm pretty sure it might be the 17th. I can't remember the exact date. It's the Ides of March. It's like it's classed as mid-March.
Yep.
He turns up after famously being told by a soothsayer to not go to the Senate that day. He gets to that day and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm going to work."
Sorry, what's a soothsayer?
Kind of like a mystic, like a person that can tell the future.
Oh, like fucking the ugly cunt out of Vikings.
Yeah, exactly. Just like one of those guys. Like an oracle-y sort of thing that just tells powerful people.
Oi, mate, you probably shouldn't rock up to work today. Self-isolation, buddy.
Well, he
just did
the classic. He just did the classic fucks given and...
Yep, and just fucking jog it out. I'll just jog it out.
Yeah, he dogged the lads.
He did. So he rocked up and he got stabbed fucking 40 times or something, didn't he?
Like 70 times.
Oh,
he got ganked. Some homeboys ganked him.
Absolutely fucking wrecked him, didn't they?
Yeah. He got shreked.
So what happened in the days leading... not leading up, afterwards?
So after that... So when... Just before Caesar died, he made a will. And pretty much the will put the dictatorship in the hands of his nephew, Octavius, who became Augustus later on.
I have heard of those names.
Yeah, so Augustus / Octavian. Octavian was his name beforehand. So Roman names are weird. So it'll be, I think his name was Caius Julius Octavian Caesar. And then he changed it later on to become Augustus Caesar.
They literally have the best fucking names I've ever heard.
Oh, definitely. I was trying so long to get Theodore to be called Augustus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was my original name, or Octavian.
Yes.
It was just funny because he's got a friend called Octavia now, like a girlfriend called Octavia. It's one of his girlfriends.
One of his eight.
One of his eight.
Girlfriends.
His harem. He's got a harem. Nah. He's not allowed to hang out with anyone at the moment because he's in lockdown.
He's banned.
He's isolated.
Self-isolated.
Self-isolated from all the girls.
Well, do you want to do a tangent? I've written down a couple of things that I would want to talk to you about.
Okay.
And since we're talking about Theodorus, your beautiful little boy.
Oh, don't go too crazy here.
I just wanted to talk about. I can't talk about beautiful little boys in the same podcast. We talk about George Pell, can I?
We can actually. Octavian was a beautiful little boy.
So was Caesar, but then he got fucking stabbed.
So when a lot of people just on that, so when a lot of people talk about Caesar, Julius Caesar had very little to do with the Rome that became Rome after.
Sure.
The empire was molded and led by Octavian, who ended up running it for 40-something years before he died.
Right, so he's the
Julius
fucking...
Caesar was like a temporary dictator. Emperor / imperator, he called himself.
So do you think that maybe his infamy stems from his death and etc.?
Oh, definitely. He's still like one of the most powerful figures in the history of the empire itself, like in the history of the entire of Rome.
Sure. I would assume though, like if you went up to 10 people on the street and said, who's Julius Caesar? Oh, he used to...
Yeah, he was the Roman emperor.
He was the Roman emperor.
Yeah,
okay.
And he
who's
was,
Octavius?
And he was for a little bit, but only for a really short period of time, like only for a few years. Whereas Octavius Augustus Caesar was in charge forever. Like he was monstrous. But
an absolute barrel-chested monster.
Absolute. No, well, honestly, no. He wasn't a barrel-chested monster. He was a sickly, weak bitch boy.
He's the opposite, little bitch.
He was actually a little bitch boy. No, he had, they reckon he had, like, a few diseases. So he was very sickly a lot of the time. Especially early on in his military career, he very rarely actually stepped up on the battlefield. So he was, a bit of a, like, that's what a lot of people didn't like about him.
Is that he was a bitch boy?
He was a bit of a bitch boy. Yeah, and that's a big thing for Romans. Romans, like, leaders were military geniuses.
Sure.
Yeah, like, even people like Cicero, who, when I said, history is written by the victors, Cicero was one of Caesar's biggest, what do you call it?
Units?
No, he was like his biggest opponent. Especially in the Senate, like they clashed a lot and were not very good friends.
Oh, I can tell you two people who have a love-hate relationship.
I would say that relationship was very similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And of course, Caesar was Patrick.
Oh, yeah, I suppose one was really I suppose one was really smart and crafty with words, while one was a barrel-chested champion of the people. So
we know who that is.
So obviously Patrick was Caesar and Mars was Cicero.
Correct.
Mars, yes. It's okay. That's actually still a compliment because Cicero was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, and he had a better name than you, Mars. Also, he had many diseases, right? Or was that Caesar? Sorry,
it was Augustus Caesar. He had a lot of diseases.
Yeah. Well, then,
but he molded.
Could be sexual.
He molded it into the Rome that you've been to. Like,
Yeah.
It's a lot to do with the longevity of the actual civilization.
Yep.
Not the top emperor though. Like there's better. But
who's
I'm not going to go into the top 10.
I just wanted to ask one question before that I had thought of. That just popped back into my head. Just leaning back on politics before, in terms of politics through history. Obviously, people seem to be pretty sick of, and this is just from my perspective of probably the people around me, but people seem to be pretty sick of the spin.
Oh,
I'm just curious whether political spin is something that's happened right throughout history. Or not.
Definitely. Yeah. And it might not be just spin. It could be a lot more to do with things like...
propaganda.
Yeah, it's a lot of propaganda. Like, propaganda wasn't really weaponized until World War II. when mass communication became a big thing, it was a lot harder back in the old days to spin. But a lot of the time, spin was very self-serving, very self-serving for the elite. You know, the president was just a pretty, like, just a rich, regular person for a lot of it until sort of in the last 100 or so years. Like, that's when you started getting these presidential dynasties, especially in America. Like, you started getting the Roosevelts and the Kennedys and the Clintons and people like that. So you get these, you've got these, like, political dynasties now, which have been going on forever. But yeah, spin itself has always been probably a thing that they've used, but I don't think until sort of, in particular, World War II and what, like, you know, someone like Joseph Goebbels did, where he sort of learned how to weaponize political spin to rile up the apolitical class or the everyday people. And, you know, you're friends with a lot of apolitical people, and you'll see that they're just like, I feel like these days it's become too out of touch. Like, the people that are at the top now just are out of touch. Especially in the Liberal Party. The Labor Party, not so much, because they're still very much a working class party.
Yeah.
But the Libs in particular are just, they've got no idea now. Like, they just don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah, I heard an interesting, I won't say who it was. It was one of my mates that you'll obviously know. I was actually talking to his dad recently, and we were talking a little bit about politics and coronavirus, and he just mentioned that an interesting term, that he considers himself politically agnostic.
Yeah, politically agnostic's good.
Yeah.
That's a good term. I like that one, because it means that you still accept that it's a thing, whereas I think a lot of people still turn off completely and just don't listen.
I wonder if they teach in university classes when you're learning politics, etc. If there's any classes on how to spin or like how to, they learn? Where do they learn this shit? Like, along the line, where do they learn? This shit?
So, in say the big example of using political spin as a weapon, you look at World War II, and it's more marketing than it is politics. You're seeing it with Trump now, in particular, where he has his own version of reality that he's trying to show you. It's how a salesperson can tell you.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a very sales and marketing sort of approach to how.
Scotty from marketing.
Yeah, and that's it. And Scott Morrison he's former head of Tourism Australia. Like, he's a marketing guy. He's an ad man and has been his entire life. I just feel like at the moment he's unaware of how easily people are seeing through the spin now. And how easy it is for every bit of spin that you put out can so easily be unraveled by like 30 seconds of research.
It's almost like, in a way, a lie. And if you tell a lie and you keep telling lies, you might be good at telling lies, but you have to remember every lie, because other people are going to fact check you. Yeah.
And you look at, like, Trump's obviously the greatest example of this, especially in the modern era. Like, there's no one like this in the history of politics. Someone that is so, what's the word? Visual and upfront. Like, you see Trump. Like, you see him everywhere.
Yeah.
But he's also got this really bizarre thing where, politicians get crafted. Hillary Clinton was really, really well crafted by the people behind her. And that's why politics are the way they are now, and why there's a lot of spin, and why there's a lot of people that just straight up don't trust them, is because they've got teams behind them that tell these, that go, okay, what story are we going to tell today? How are we going to tell it?
So sorry, but in America, in terms of the money that goes towards political parties...
Oh, God.
Is that legal in Australia? Do we do that?
Some ways yes, some ways no. We've got lobbies. They're not as powerful here.
Yeah.
Our system does stop how much money, like you have limits on how much you can donate, but
Salary cap.
So yeah, kind of like a salary cap. You can only donate up to $10,000 at a time. Anything above $10,000 you have to declare. So you can't get a lot of people with self-interest going into it. In America, what they've got are things called super PACs, and they've got lobbyists and things like that, which are just pumping money into these politicians to get access to them so that they can say, hey, look, I know you don't think all Americans should have guns, but we're here to tell you that the Second Amendment is really important to so many people in your electorate or in your district. We feel that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They'll sell to the politician, who then sells it to Congress.
It's just interesting.
Yeah, it's a really weird system. And a lot of politicians now have just given up on trying to hide this fact. In Australia, we've got similar problems. You look at Gina Rinehart, for example, who's...
Oh, I don't really want to look at Gina Rinehart.
Yeah, she's a mining magnate, very, very rich woman, inherited a shit ton of money off her grandfather. And...
what's the fucking cunt out of Star Wars that she looks like? Old mate?
Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt,
She doesn't look like him as much now. She lost a heap of weight.
Yes.
So now she doesn't look like him.
Maybe you could make it a personal triumph to be able to just bring up Google search images of Gina Rinehart and finish a wank off.
There's a... I used to stay at a place in... what's the street in Melbourne? There's a little side alley near a hotel I used to stay at quite a lot. And it's got a really good bit of street art in that alley. It's been there for as long as I've been going there.
Yeah.
So like 15
it's not
years
a,
or so.
It's like not a modern one. It's
she's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a big thing of her with her head on Jabba the Hutt's body. It's pretty great.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
I can just imagine it
she's
now.
She's just a scumbag. She wanted to use nuclear weapons to blow up half of Western Australia for mining, like all that sort of stuff. She's mental.
That is insane.
She's mental. And she's the reason why, our mining mining industry gets, 50, I think it's about $55 billion a year in subsidies.
Yep.
So when our government says they don't have money for services and stuff like that, that's because they're paying a shit ton of money to the mining industry for nothing. All they're doing is existing, and it's our biggest
How do
export.
you feel about the mining industry? Where do you stand on it? Like personally, in terms of global warming and...
Well, obviously you can't look past fossil fuels as one of the major causes of it. In fact, probably the most major cause of climate change. It's not just destructive to the environment after the fact, it's destructive to the environment during the fact. It's a bit of a... It's such a weird industry because it's our biggest export, but if you look at how many people are employed by mining, it's whenever a election comes around, they're always talking about Labor's trying to get rid of mining jobs and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a guess at how many people are currently working for the mining industry? Won't include the people mining adjacent, so like a town near a mine that have a heap of people employed to support the mine. You just people that are...
So just purely people that...
Purely people. How many would you say in Australia?
Oh, this is a random guess, but... Jesus, this is going to be way off, but 10,000? 5,000? Something like that?
You're actually pretty close. It's 30,000 in Australia.
Oh, right. Okay.
Now, that sounds like...
I did lowball.
You lowball. Yeah, but that's right. A lot of people, if you look at the amount of attention that number gets, that industry gets as a the yardstick of, Labor doesn't give a shit about jobs for our miners. It's like one of our, it's a very small sector.
Oh, yeah, of course.
If you can, obviously our biggest export, one of our biggest exports, I think our biggest is still bigger than that. I don't know economics that well. But if you compare that to plumbing, How many plumbers do you think are in Australia?
Oh God, 500,000.
It's about 120,000.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
for every miner, there's 4 plumbers.
Thank you for that basic math.
Yeah, but yeah,
Quick math.
quick math. And then you look at something which we're seeing now is taking a massive hit in this country, which is tourism. An industry you've been interested in as well, and then an industry you're working in right now. Like,
oh fuck, you've worked in,
Yeah, that I've worked in for like 5 years now. Like, tourism's a fucking massive industry. It employs approximately 750,000.
Wow, that's a lot.
When they're, when the whole Adani mine thing happened, and everyone was like, "Oh, you're fucking over all these miners that need jobs," that mine was only going to employ about 100 people.
Right.
There was going to be, they reckon there was going to be, originally they said 15,000 jobs. And then they said...
Why do you think there's such a big uproar?
Because money.
Right.
Or do you mean the uproar against it? Or the uproar for or against it?
Both. Go for both.
So against, it's in one of the biggest agriculture areas of Australia.
Yep.
Also, the access to that mine is pretty much cutting straight through the Great Barrier Reef.
Yep.
So one of our biggest tourism draws.
Yep.
And for someone that lives on the Great Barrier Reef and watching it sort of slowly choke to death, it's pretty fucking big deal up here.
Oh, of course, it's fucking sad. It's fucking sad.
We
talk about a coronavirus, but
the Great Barrier Reef, it's like almost 3,000 kilometers long. It's massive. It thing's fucking huge.
Yep.
It goes from it's not 3,000. It's like 1,800 kilometers long or something like that. It's still a quick drive up the road to get some milk.
That's about as that's about as big as fucking Marnes's tummy. That one.
Exactly. I reckon you could get, if you wrapped it around his tummy, you'd have a little bit of...
You get halfway, probably halfway.
You'd get that back snail trail that goes up his ass crack.
Yeah,
that
is beautiful.
And it'd stop about there.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so you're looking at, like, it's the amount of damage it does to the environment to begin with. They also had signed a deal with the government to have unlimited access to water in the Great Artesian Basin, which is our primary source of water in Australia, which is like a huge underground reserve of water.
Yep.
So they were given unfettered access to our most important resource in this country, which is water, destroying a shitload of very important grazing land for our beef and industry in particular.
Yep.
It fucks over the Great Barrier Reef, and we saw that last year when Cyclone Debbie hit. One of the
what a name for a fucking I'm thinking of Karen. I'm thinking of Karen at the.
When Cyclone Karen happens,
manager?
Mate. When Cyclone Karen happens, it's on. It's game on. I'm pretty sure there has been a couple of them too. Because they go through cycles. It changes male to... So every...
How do they name a cyclone?
So they've named them about 100 or so years in advance. It goes male to female. So it takes in turns male and female. And every cyclone gets a name. So it goes... I think it goes in alphabetical order. I think... I'm not an expert on that sort of shit, but it goes. Yeah, it's actually a system in place, and it's been going for a fair while now. Like they've got.
I feel like we do need a Jamie here, hey, just to like look shit up.
Hey Jamie, bring it up.
Hey Jamie, bring that shit up.
Jamie, bring that shit up.
Tell us if there's ever been a fucking cyclone, Karen.
Teddy, come here.
Child.
For me. Oh, I can probably just go, hey Siri, how do? So not only is it environmentally destructive now. The flow and effects of how damaging it will be to the environment later with carbon emissions and things like that's bad. Also taking into consideration things like India's demand for coal is plummeting, China's demand for coal is plummeting, the global price of coal is making it so that mines are almost pointless. They're losing money now, and the only way that these industries will keep up keep upright is by huge investment from the government, which means us, the taxpayers, are paying to keep these open.
Right. Do you think it's a Band-Aid situation? Guys, we need to start looking into renewable energy, and we need to do it yesterday.
We needed to start looking into renewable energy 20 years ago.
Yeah.
In the 80s, Australia was the world leader in solar energy development, research and development. We were the world leaders. We were the number one. And then neoliberalism happened, and it meant that our what's the word? Our love interest with coal as a thing that became such a definitive point for sort of our economic direction that we went in, became so much focus on coal that we lost sight of important factors. And then the coal industry, and same as the oil industry and things like that you saw in the 70s, they're very good at just shutting that shit down. They just don't. They didn't want that. They don't want alternative energy sources, because why would a coal-fired power plant owner want to have renewable energy? And so they make lies up about base load and shit like that. That's already easily, you look at somewhere like South Australia, which is now having entire days where they run off renewable energy only, because because Elon Musk said, hey, we'll give you a shitload of batteries, or well, not even a shitload, just a bank of batteries that costs normally $150 million. We're going to give it to you for free, and if it doesn't make you money back, you pay for it. Yep. And it made the money back almost instantly. Like, they've paid off those batteries already.
Wow, that's cool.
It's 18 months now, I think, since they've been turned on. Mm-hmm. Must be 18.
What do you think the uproar is for?
Against it?
Why do you think... sorry, no, you've answered against it.
Yeah.
Why do you think there's any uproar to keep the mining industry?
Money. It's as simple as that.
So it's pretty much just money?
The mining industry, is one of the biggest industries in the country. They are able to invest into advertising. Many of the people on boards of these media companies are also on boards of these mining companies, and it's one of those things, like the powerful are just trying to keep a hold of that power for as long as they can.
Yeah. How long do you think it'll be before that we actually in this country shut down mining completely?
No time soon.
No.
We'll run out of coal before we give up on it, I reckon. It's so ingrained in our economic DNA now. It's such an important part of our country's income. And you look at it, it's the only industry at the moment that's actually fucking making us money. It's now more than ever is being proven to be such an important part of our economy. And while I don't, it's difficult because you don't want that money to just disappear. The trillions of dollars it makes us every decade is nothing to be
simply just can't be ignored in terms of economic impact.
Yeah. Now we could have done smarter things with that money at the start. Howard kind of fucked us over in a lot of ways. You know how when we were in Norway, and one of the first things you get told by we were getting told as we were going into Norway, they were going through why Norway is such a rich country.
Yep.
And how they nationalised their oil industry.
Yep.
We didn't do that.
Right.
We could have nationalised our coal industry, which meant all of the profits come to us.
Yep.
Whereas what we've done is not done that, and it makes a lot of the money go to these multinational corporations that never pay a cent of tax in Australia, that don't do anything for Australians, that don't give a shit about Australians. Whereas, that money, the profits they make off coal, could fund this country, every single thing in this country's, bank balance. Like unemployment, which is only like a few $100 million a year.
Why do you think that they did that?
Oh, because John Howard's an idiot. It's simple as that.
What was the advantage?
He was one of the most economically destructive prime ministers we've ever had.
Yeah. So what was the advantage? Was there any advantage of selling off to multinationals?
Yeah.
Was he thinking
Probably got a lot of
economically short?
Very economically short. Also very self-interested. So, all these people that were in charge at the time, and the people that were around them that were telling them, like giving them, sort of the guidance on these sort of things, were the very people that were benefiting from it.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, it was very self-interested. It wasn't taking into consideration the future of Australians. Whereas, you look at somewhere like Norway where they went, you know what? This is our oil coming out of our ground.
Yep.
This is all of ours. Whereas Australia went, that coal over there isn't Australia's coal. It's Adani's coal because they were the ones that built the mine there.
Right. Yes,
they'll give us a little bit of money back.
Yeah, yep.
But and also the big issue that I find with Adani is that they're expecting us to pay for the whole thing. Like $4 billion mine that we're paying for apparently. That we're never going to see a fucking cent from.
I don't particularly think that it would be a little different if said mine was putting profits back into the country.
Yeah, and all it's doing is paying miners. That's pretty much the only sort of impact they're going to give back to the country.
Do you feel like the 30,000 workers or so in the mining industry, if they had to, if we packed up fucking shop tomorrow, made mining illegal in the country or something extremely drastic,
if we said,
right?
We're done, no more coal.
Do you think they could get jobs quite easily?
Definitely.
Okay, not right now. Okay. Right now is hard, right? But
I'm gonna point to a very close example of yours. Do you think Matt Johnson, who's been on this podcast, could have gone into any other job when he left the mining industry? Because he has.
Yeah. So
just
obviously he had his ticket in terms of diesel mechanic and then moved along to working in the car industry and now he's working in disability. So
exactly. You
can do it.
People are able to move. People are able to change.
Yeah, but that's the thing. People don't like change. That's
exactly.
What we said
and
last
that's
time.
Also the other thing. People don't like to change. But Matt went, you know what? I want to change.
Yes.
He probably came back when he came back to Warrnambool and said, I don't have a fucking choice right now. I'm going to have to just find some shit, kick a job for a bit. Which is
wanted to. He never wanted to. I think he's quite good with mechanical side of things. I think that he's the kind of person that probably could have been any kind of tradesman. You find that a lot with the tradie guys that are switched on. They probably could have been any trade. And
it's just a simple thing of,
I don't mean to be disrespectful to the trades because, look at academically gifted people that go on to be anything. Doctors, nurses, whatever. They could be anything.
Academically gifted people that go on to be farmers. They're some of the most interesting, developments in farming in the last sort of 15 years have been from young, smart kids that are coming into it. It's, people becoming...
You're not pigeonholed anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think intelligence is held to too high of a standard. I don't think, traditionally.
Do you mean in terms of?
Anymore, I don't think traditionally intelligent people are necessarily the smartest people in the room. I think emotional intelligence is a very, very smart, very important thing that's starting to become a big deal now. The best jobs you've ever had are from people that are. You think about what would you say would be the best job you've ever had? Obviously
the one that I have right now, probably.
The current,
to be honest.
Yeah, and is that because?
No, I do mean that. I'd be happy to answer if it was something else, but yeah.
And is that because your current boss is much nicer than the previous boss that you had that I know was a complete cunt to you?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
100%. It just comes down to the boss. The boss that I have right now is the boss that I could go have beers with after work and we could talk a bit of work, but we could talk a bit of outside
work. He's the sort of boss that if you turned around and said, hey, look, my mum's really sick with cancer. I need to go and look after her for a few months.
Oh, 100%. Wouldn't even be a fucking question.
Now, will the
old
previous...
boss would be...
Old boss would be like, oh, look, just
That's actually we've got compassionate leave for 10 days legally. We'll see you back on next Friday,
see you
mate.
Back in 10 days, mate. That's an emotional intelligence. Those people are intelligent enough to understand that being a good person is is more important than being financially responsible.
It's like the human resources side of things,
Yeah,
bosses
exactly.
And now have to be, you don't. There's not many
human resources
bosses out there that are authoritarian.
Yeah, having a proper like emotionally intelligent human resources department is just insane.
Yep.
You can
someone that can approach like every single type of person.
Yeah, and knowing how to get the most out of everyone, understanding that some people need more than 4 weeks of holidays. Some people need less than 4 weeks of holidays. I'm the sort of person that I could probably pretty happily work 51 weeks of the year if I was getting treated right at work.
Yep.
And that 1 week I'd take off would probably be me just sitting at home, getting high and doing nothing.
Just chilling the fuck
just
out.
Dead serious. Like I'm not the sort of person that's fulfilled going on. Professionally, I feel more fulfilled when I'm respected, and I think anyone should agree with that. Like, if you don't agree with that, you're an idiot.
You can jog on, mate.
Why are you going to work if you don't fucking like what you're doing? Go find something else.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do not like what we're doing, though.
Yeah,
I think, and we feel like we're stuck.
That's it. Especially, and I found that having moved away from Warrnambool, seeing it from outside of the fishbowl now, there's a lot of business owners in particular that have very narrow vision for that sort of stuff. They also well and truly pay well below what they should be.
Sure.
You look at Kane. He went for a job at a place I worked for, and they offered him about half of what he was earning currently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he turned around and just told them, you know what, I'd rather you go fuck yourselves and I'll go find a job literally anywhere in the country for twice as much money.
Yeah.
And he was first year out of uni.
Yeah, and he's worth that money,
Yeah, he's worth that money. And he's probably worth more money. And now looking at him, he's in Canberra doing private government shit.
Yeah. Which is cool.
That's talented people are worth money. It's as simple as that. And I think a lot of talent.
It's not just talented people. I think that if you think that you are, you're right. You are right about that. But I mean, like, if you think you have self-worth and you are providing self-worth to a company, maybe people do lowball themselves.
Yeah, and that's it. And a lot of people, just stick with it. I worked with a guy who was one of the most highly qualified technicians for Canon, so the photocopier company.
Oh yes,
he was. He had done all of their qualifications. He was one of their highest ranked technicians across the whole company. But worked for a company that only paid him $40,000 a year, and did that for years until he one day went, you know what, my self-worth is taking a massive hit. I believe that if I go to a different employer, they'll pay me what I'm actually earning, worth to the company. And for years, he'd go to national road shows and stuff like that, and the other techs are like, "Oh, so how much are you on?" And he was like, $40,000, and they're like, "Really?
What? I pissed that out. What are you talking about?"
Yeah. Like these techs are all on 250 plus.
That's insane.
Yeah,
obviously,
because they're they're the top tier engineers. They're the people that know these machines so well that they can fix them blindfolded, that they can hear what's wrong with the machine, that they can smell what's wrong with the machine. Like, these are just top tier intelligent people that get wasted in a small town that doesn't want to value them. And it's the same in any small town, I think.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, compared to your cities, I would say.
Whereas, cities are more competitive, so they have to pay people more. There's just no question about it, You look at someone like, say, I'm trying to think of a good example. Brad Sharp, who I worked with.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a talented guy, and he was just a trainee tech at a place I worked.
Yep.
And he finished his traineeship. They offered him money, and he worked at that for a little bit, and then went, actually, I'm worth a lot more than this.
Yeah.
And
self-worth.
All
I can do better than this.
the work that I'm doing to make someone else money is not coming back to me. Yeah. And that's and I was getting paid below minimum wage at that job. Like I was getting fucked around. And I was making the company
legal?
$2 million. Depends who you ask.
Right, okay.
It's small town. They don't technically want to pay you more than what you should be getting paid legally.
Yeah.
But I was making that company, nearly $2 million a year in sales, and I was getting paid fuck all. Like,
yeah. It seems to me to be a trend that I would think most people would agree with, is that they should be paid what their self-worth. But I don't think you have to necessarily be money orientated to feel that way. This can apply for people that are in it for financial gains or not. You know what I mean?
And every person I've ever seen that's broken out of that. Do you know Alex that I worked with at that same place?
Yes.
He worked 2 jobs at the same time. He worked at the cinema and he worked with me.
Yep.
So he'd finish work, go and grab some dinner, and then go work at a cinema until like 2:00 in the morning.
Yep.
The job that he enjoyed more was working at the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
So when he eventually got to the point where he's like, why the fuck am I still doing this? He went and started doing something similar in Sydney. And now he's very, very high up in the startup that he started with.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So he joined a startup. Have you ever heard of the company SiteMinder?
Wow. Yes, I have.
Yeah, I was going to say,
we use that every day.
I was going to say, you probably know SiteMinder. He's one of the big engineers for SiteMinder now.
Oh wow, that's awesome. The funny thing about is literally 3 hours ago I was on SiteMinder.
SiteMinder checking shit. Yeah, he's like one of their top tier engineers for that now, because he went to a business and they went, "Fuck man, you're really good at this. Like we think you're worth this much, but we think you could do better." And then he started getting that self-worth. He no longer was sitting there going, "Oh, I'm just getting paid $16 an hour or whatever the fuck a trainee gets paid." Much less than that. I think it's like $12 an hour or something for a trainee. He's gone from thinking that, I'm just worth how much I'm getting paid each week to being valued and seeing that as an important thing. And I think, like, going back around, everyone's like that. I'm not saying that miners don't have an easy job, because it's a fucking hard job. People die doing it. People spend months at a time away from their family. We got friends that we met on Kentucky at the moment that now have to be apart indefinitely.
Yep.
Because he's not allowed to come home. Because he's not allowed to leave. He's FIFO. He's not allowed to come in and out of the state. So he's trapped over there. He's getting paid well. And, he's still living the opposite end of the country to his fiancée, which is fucking horrible.
Yes.
I'm sure Matt was in the same boat. Like when
he
was doing
and
it,
he mentioned it to me just the other day. He said it was the hardest thing he's ever had to do.
Yeah. And that was before he was they hadn't been dating that long, I'd imagine, at the time. Like they were probably just
I don't think they were too far in. They hadn't had children yet.
No, they weren't.
I know for sure if a kid was involved, it would have been different.
Impossible. Like I find it hard enough working at the other end of town and having to and being away from the kid. Like it's insane being at the other end of the country, and there's so many people that do it.
I've got a lad, Kieran, who was part of my first Kentucky. He might actually be listening to this right now. If he is, shout out. He's been doing it for quite some time now, and I know he has to FIFO a lot.
And it's a very unstable job. I know that there's almost like a executioner's act hanging over you the whole time. Like I know so many people that have been working in it for years and then just one day told, "No, I don't need you anymore." Just we're gonna shut this down now. We don't need we don't need 1,500 of you anymore. See ya.
Sorry to do a little bit of a left turn here.
Yeah, let's do a left turn.
But I was just thinking more so about, it's not really a left turn, but tangenting, kind of segued. Yeah, I need to use another word other than tangenting, because it's not always tangenting.
Segway's there for it.
And also, don't you ride those cunts?
No, different Segway.
Oh,
So
fuck.
the Segway ride is Segway,
Yes.
but a segue between two subjects is Sugue.
Oh, fuck.
There you go. There you go.
I probably spelt segue the wrong way.
Oh,
This is my
definitely.
poor Scrabble skills coming through again.
Here we go.
I just wanted to talk about in terms of self-worth, not necessarily in a job, but... Oh, actually, yeah, we can keep it within a job. Do you think that mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, you can go further, panic attacks, things like this... like let's say you had a person A and person B and they were very similar. Let's say they worked at the same place, right?
Yep.
And they were getting paid the same thing and they were both very, very good at their job and they both believed they were worth more, self-worth more.
Mm-hmm.
But you have someone with mental health issues, someone that doesn't have mental health issues. How much of a difference do you think it's going to make?
Oh, huge. I think like I can say definitely from experience that my personal self-worth is very much tied into my mental health.
Yeah.
When I'm at my worst, I think I am a completely worthless piece of shit that doesn't deserve love, doesn't deserve any sort of intimacy, doesn't deserve all the fucking joy in the world that I've currently got. You know.
And you're not the only person, you know. It's fucking
definitely.
It's incredibly sad.
And it's so weird because right now I'm outside that bubble. I read a great article the other day about how people with some severe mental health issues are actually thriving in this situation, and I'm actually thinking, oh fuck, I'm waking up and going, you know what, we can fucking do this. This virus can't kill all of us. You know, we'll fucking repair. We'll get there. It's weird because I was sitting there, I'm like, I am unemployed currently, and I'm still waiting on the government to help out, and I don't know how I'm going to pay rent next week, but I'm not thinking about that anymore. Whereas I was thinking about that when I was fucking getting paid.
It's interesting that a pandemic has...
It's like a grounding thing.
It's interesting, how it's groundbreaking. You know, some people are thinking about it in different ways and stuff like that.
It's a perspective thing too. Like something this big, I thought at the start I was really bad. I thought that it was too big, and that there was nothing.
So you couldn't break it down into parts.
It was not some. It was something out of, and then it was almost like I had to go. Okay, this is actually outside of my control. I can't stop this virus. I can mitigate my own and my family's exposure to it.
Sure.
But that's it.
Yeah.
I can't stop my entire community from getting it. I can't stop my entire nation from getting it. I can only sit there and watch that number get higher every day.
Yeah. And if you do that, it's going to be hard to get out of that.
Yeah. And
that mindset too.
That was what my mindset was at the start. And I thank the Lord, my Lord and Savior, Gunja Christ, for helping me with that.
That's Jesus's fucking cooler brother. Or cousin. Was he his cousin?
Yeah, much cooler cousin. Gunja Christ.
He comes to the Christmas party and he's always the bloke that you just want to shake hands with. Jesus is that boring cunt in the fucking corner.
I did need that. I needed like a mentally hard reset.
Yep. I guess mental hard reset is like it's probably underestimated how important they are.
Yeah. And it's because like you had that moment where you can step back and look at it objectively. Like I can still sit there every single fucking morning going, oh my God, how dumb are these cunts? Like I'm reading this morning that like the fucking the feds in America are like taking, you know, medical supplies off the fucking states that are desperately needing it. And
just seen something the other day about the fucking, can't remember the name of it, but the blockage that the US have on Cuba.
Yeah. The embargoes. Yeah, that's been going on forever.
Yeah. That is insane to me. Like, how can you not just lift an embargo for something like this?
They've been doing the same to Russia forever, and they've been doing the same to Iran forever. Like that. Yeah, America have big nuts in this game.
Yep.
Big nuts in this game. They've been controlling a lot of the a lot of these worlds for a long time now.
Mm.
But yeah, it was a perspective change I had to change. And I just needed a break, because at the start it was just the amount of weight coming down and me looking to the future and saying, fuck, we could have like 1 million cases pretty soon. And then, we're now sitting there at almost 1.5 million.
Yes.
Like the number right this very second is probably somewhere in the vicinity of 1.4 million.
Plus, not to mention the fact that there's probably cases China,
America are just as bad right now.
Yeah. They're probably under.
Sorry, we're at 1,431,706 cases total. America's just had its worst day on record.
Yep.
Death-wise, which was almost 2,000 deaths in one day.
How do you think that? And this is no bias, right? Mm-hmm. Try not to bring politicals into this.
I'll try my damn best.
How do you think Australia as a whole, including the country right now, and the government, so people and the government as a whole, or you can break it down into two separate categories, how do you think we're handling this situation right now? What can we do better, and what do you think that
I think
at an individual level and everything?
I think we're doing pretty good. Everyone keeps saying we're flattening the curve, but we're still at that point where a lot can happen.
Especially with Easter, cunts going to go crazy for chocolate.
Exactly.
Chocolate from Target.
Yeah,
you can't go out and get
that's
it.
The big issue too. Is just because it looks like we're flattening the curve right now, means nothing. Like that, we could have our death numbers starting to spike now. Like we had 7 deaths in one day the other day, which is nothing compared to the 2,000 that America had. But the curve is starting to flatten. You're looking at all the data, it's actually starting to look good on that sort of perspective. But things can change rapidly, especially if people go, oh, it's Easter, it's been 3 weeks now, we've had the isolation rules in place, let's just all use this weekend to catch up.
Ease up, Turbo.
Ease up a little bit. Everyone can go and hang out with their friends and family and have a great weekend. And that's where shit's going to go wrong.
Yep.
That's when the person that caught it from the supermarket 4 days ago that's not showing any symptoms gives it to every fucking person in their family. Gives it to their nana. Nana dies next week.
I think that's the hardest. I think that's the hardest kind of thing to conceptualize, is the fact that you can show no symptoms.
Yeah.
You've like realistically, I'm not saying we do, but fuck, you might have it right now. I might have it right now.
I wouldn't be shocked if one of us has had it. That maybe we didn't show symptoms. We're in that age bracket of people that don't show symptoms.
Yep.
It's more likely.
I just want to know your opinion. Obviously, when it first came out, in terms of media hype and stuff like that, you can fall into those traps. But how do you feel right now about the people that still think that it's not that big of a deal? Or
looking at Australia right now, we've had 6,000 cases. That's not many people. To underplay the severity of it is pretty bad. As a nation, our leadership didn't underplay the severity. They went, okay, hard lockdown now. They need to keep the lockdown going for maybe another 2 weeks, maybe longer.
How long do you think? If I've used this analogy, honestly, I'm pretty sure every fucking podcast so far. A gun to your head right now.
I would say at least August.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah. I reckon push through until August, September, when the main flu season's done. Because what's going to happen when the flu season happens is that's when everyone's going back to work, and then flu season hits. And flu mixed with with COVID-19 is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Flu in itself is pretty bad. But when you've got something that just goes and straight up attacks your respiratory system, means you have a really good fucking chance of getting pneumonia or something like that. It can be pretty staggering. But you look at how we've dealt with it. We went hard and we went fast. Everyone went fucking stop. Every state went stop. There's been no states in Australia, like our government hasn't said, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal." And now you look at America. I can just real quickly show you an example of total coronavirus cases in Australia. I'll send you this graph here for Australia. Now that to me looks like we're flattening the curve.
Sorry, you're just sending that to me now, are you?
Just sending it via Facebook. Now I'll give you the same graph.
Yep.
The same graph in America. Where's the fucking total cases? Did I give you total cases or total active cases?
Total cases.
Total cases.
You've given me?
Total cases.
Okay, yeah, I can see that,
Okay.
yep.
And now, this is America. Don't get you slipping, no. And
So...
tell us which response.
Oh, wow, okay.
Tell us which response has been...
wow, that's substantially
so
different,
we're watching one country's curve drop.
Yep.
And we're watching one's still spiking. It hasn't even begun to start teetering down.
And not to mention the fact that, you know, that country has come out and said, the leader has come out and said, you know, maybe end of April we'll start to ease up.
Well, no, he said a week ago, we'll be right by Easter.
Yeah.
Which is this weekend.
Yeah.
Now, you compare this to a country that had their first case on the same day as the US. Okay, so the US... Also, to keep in consideration, this country has an insane population density.
What's that? Sorry,
South Korea. They got their first case on the same day. South Korea instantly went into lockdown. They went into proper testing. They went into, like straight up, let's get this fucking thing sorted now, right now. Stop what we're doing. Fix this problem. They currently have 192 deaths. In a country with a much higher population density than America.
Wow.
America is sitting at almost 13,000 deaths. And
sorry, density is what, person per capita kind of per area?
Like per meter. Like how many people per kilometre, I think.
How many South Koreans can you fit in a small car?
Yeah, exactly. How many Americans can you fit in a small car? Like, not
many, because they're too fat.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all you need to do is think of how many Manzas can you fit in a car. And
compared to me,
how many Americans you fit in there?
Yes, correct.
Me's the size of a South Korean.
Correct.
Man's
don't you dare! Do not dare compare him to an Asian. Do not dare. I'm going to get phone calls after this.
Oh, I'm glad you'll get phone calls.
Do not mention me, and do not call me a bloody ching chong wong.
But America, the interesting thing about America is it's out of all of these countries that are struggling at the moment, they're the only one without a national healthcare system.
Ah, right. That's interesting.
Well, funny that, isn't it? Of all the highest ranking countries have aged populations, which is a big thing, a high number of smokers and all that sort of shit. Mm-hmm. But then you've got the US, which is currently, like today they had their spike, their biggest day of deaths ever. The day before yesterday, it was like 5,000 international deaths. Today, it was like 7,500.
Yeah.
Almost entirely because of America. America had like a spike of almost 1,000 in one day, which is a big number. That's a big increase. They've had like 33,000 new cases added. And this isn't even including the ones they're not reporting. They're not reporting deaths a lot. They're not reporting cases a lot because they're not testing enough.
That's what I was going to say. Like, imagine all the people that have, unfortunately... passed away due to coronavirus and that hasn't even been reported, or they don't know.
So South Korea's tests per million people is 9,310. America's tests per million people is 6,000.
Right.
So, 50% increase and acting early and testing every cunt that walks.
What's the... Oi, cunt, get over here and fucking come over
China. In China, you would... The big difference with China and how they reacted to it compared to someone like America, for example, is China, as a result of avian flu, SARS, and like swine flu and things like that, they actually have a really rigid set of... viral clinics and things like that. They've got the infrastructure set up ready to go if something like this happens. Yep. So when shit started kicking off in China, for you to go to the shops. So go to Coles. When you left your house, you would be stopped. They would take your temperature with one of those guns, the infrared temperature guns.
Yep.
They'd shoot that at your forehead to check your temperature. You go a little further down the road, around the corner, halfway to the shop, someone else will stop you and take your temperature. Then you'd go down, you'd go down to the shops, you'd get to the door of the shop, and there'd be someone at the door of the shop stopping you from getting in until you took your temperature.
That's nuts,
and then, when you left the shop, the same guy would take your temperature again, and then you would you'd run into like 5 people along the way home getting this like temperature taken to see if you're showing up as someone that's got a fever. If you have a fever, they'd straight away send you to the test. You go, you get tested, you sit there for a few hours, wait for it to come back. If you were found to be positive, you weren't going home. They would take you elsewhere.
And it's all with those, for your example, the 3 different places that you can get tested. Like it's less cause for error. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly. Because constantly getting checked, it means that they're on top of things like, and I still pretty firmly believe that China's hiding a lot of numbers. Like you're hearing people that were in the Wuhan province seeing thousands of little urns that the government would give you when someone had died and they burnt the body for you.
Yep.
Like people seeing thousands of those, not the 3,000 total.
Yeah.
Like they reckon the number's more like 10 times what China's actually.
Oh yeah, of course. I for sure think that.
And because of the way that China works as a country is meaning that it means that you probably never will get the right answer. America, I feel like America's still open enough with it. The citizens are open enough that they'll speak out against this sort of shit.
Yep.
Whereas in China, it's kind of the opposite. The people are, under the boot of the authoritarian government. That's
if they talk out, their fucking social grading will go down, won't it?
Yeah, or they go to fucking Uyghur or whatever it's called, where they send all the Muslims.
Yeah, the fucking Chinese gulags.
The gulags, the re-education centres. All that sort of stuff.
That's
what happened to Chinese mums. He went to a re-education centre because he kept trying to like show people the Dwayne Leverock catch.
Yeah.
Where he it was like, oh, you want to see what happens when a big man goes when a big man flies? Oh.
And they just send him to camp. You need to learn how to be a
you're so
better
smart.
person.
How you know so much about cricket? And he goes, oh, look at YouTube a lot.
With the back to the mental health side of things, do you have any no, that's fine. Fuck,
I'm happy to talk about
I would literally made a joke just the other day when James was talking about working in disability, about like a disabled person being on the beach and getting battened down by a police officer. I'm just taking this for a wild ride. But in terms of the mental health side of things, funnily enough, it's kind of been the opposite for me. I didn't take it seriously enough probably at the start, and now I'm in the stage where I'm just constantly checking it, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, you're in,
and I got to get out of that.
You're in a bit of a doom spiral at the moment.
Yeah, but I know I'll be okay, and I'll get out of it, and things will be okay. But I just want to know if anyone else, because like realistically, right now, apart from the coronavirus, the mental health side of things regarding the coronavirus and the economic impacts which are going to affect said mental health issues, that's the biggest thing right now.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
You think about the psychological impact of, say, somewhere like America right now, who their best estimates are like 250,000 to 400,000 deaths. That's what their best estimate. America hasn't peaked yet. They've had a bad day today, but they reckon their peak's going to happen in June, July. That
is insane.
Yeah, that's insane. To think about, we'll be talking about in 3 or 4 months. Like I was talking 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like when we're up to episode 5, so let's just say, how many episodes do you release? 1 a week, or is it?
About 1 a week, roughly.
Yeah, it's been about, I reckon, 4 weeks since the first episode came out.
Yeah. I'll be a bit busy this week, actually. I just did one with Nathan yesterday, today, and then I think Corey's trying to organise one for Friday.
Who with? Ben Ryan?
No, me and Corey.
Oh, Corey.
Yeah.
So that first one with Corey would have been maybe 4 weeks ago.
With Matt.
Matt. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about 4 weeks ago, and I remember listening to the first one, and one of the first things was said was because it was just about to become a big deal, or it had just become a big deal. I feel like it was like that weekend before everyone went, oh shit, okay, this is serious.
Yeah.
Well, anyone important went, oh shit, this is serious. There's still a lot of people that don't believe it's serious. But those few days where it went from 100,000 cases to 300,000 cases in 4 days. Like we hit 1 million cases on Monday. Mm-hmm. It's Wednesday and we're at almost 1.5. Like,
how many?
That is
do you
insane.
Think,
how fast this is going.
What do you think that the coronavirus? It'll get a cure.
Yeah,
I know it's such a simple way of putting
soon.
it, but
like, the optimist in me says they'll have a vaccination in the next 6 months.
And the pessimist in you?
Not the pessimist, the realist.
Old mate devil that's like in Jay and Silent Bob. Got to beat
I'm not pessimistic about it because it's an absolute. I have a problem with absolutes. If I know for a fact something's absolutely true or absolutely false, that's fine for me.
Sure.
But when it's up in the air and we don't know anything, that's when I start struggling a lot. So like it's definite that we'll find a cure. We're already making massive strides in that direction, but you've also got to keep in mind, and I think they were talking about on Joe Rogan the other day, like they're talking probably 12, maybe 18 months.
Sure.
To get a cure, to get a vaccination so that people don't get
the numbers are going to be quite high by then, aren't they?
You think about the next 6 months, we're a month deep effectively, like from when it's gone from being, less than 100,000 people to now 1.5 million people has been less than a month.
I hope, and this is just the human side of me and the human side of you. I hope we're fucking wrong. I hope we're both wrong. I hope that there's a fucking cure tomorrow.
I hope there's a cure tomorrow. Look, if there was a cure tomorrow, I'd be happy. I'd be a lot happier than I would be if there was a cure in 18 months. But
I suppose we can. Speaking of the topic
it took a while to get a vaccination for a vaccination in place for SARS. It took nearly 2 years for that, and that killed a lot of people as well.
Yeah,
it was more localized. Didn't.
Where was SARS? Where was it?
That was in China as well, but it was shut down pretty early. Like China shut down really early, and it didn't spread as rapidly as what.
Right. So they were able to
coronavirus. The big difference with this particular coronavirus is that it's more potent. Did you watch that Rogan interview you had the other day with the guy with the bow tie? The doctor?
No, I did not. No.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. He sits down with a guy, pretty much like a big virality expert in America that... I watch too many things now. I just forget everyone's names.
That's
but
right.
he's like a bit of a...
I'll be able to find it.
Virality professor.
Yep.
So he knows a lot. He's the guy that always ends up on Fox News and CNN and shit like that. He's the guy that if they need an expert to talk to, it's this guy. And he's been on Rogan a few times, and I think he was on Rogan early, at the start of the whole thing, when it was sort of a big thing in when it was sort of starting to become a thing in January, February. Mm-hmm. And he had him on then, and now he's had him on since to see what's changed.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, okay, this is fucking real serious, guys. I told you this months ago, this is real fucking serious.
Yeah.
And now they're all like, oh shit, maybe he's actually fucking serious.
I knew all along. What are you talking about?
Well, that's what Trump's doing that today. It's come out today that he's stripping funding from the World Health Organization because he needs someone to blame. Even though you've got it on record of him a fucking month ago saying, we still think this is a fucking hoax. A month ago.
Old mate likes to backtrack, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's trying to control the message. He understands that people will only listen to headlines now. But...
yeah.
And it works. There's plenty of people saying he's doing a great job.
It's the clickbaity era, isn't it?
Yeah. And you look at America who are sitting there today going, but we're doing a good job. They're not. There's no evidence at all to suggest they're doing a good job. Who knows? They went up 1,000 cases today. 1,000 deaths today. What happens tomorrow when that number doubles? Because the whole thing about flattening the curve isn't to stop the amount of people dying. you will still have the same amount of people dying. And in this whole flattening the curve thing, they're still projecting the same amount of deaths, whether you did or not. But the difference is, it's how bad that's going to get. If your system doesn't have the ability to handle the amount of cases in place. Like at the a few weeks ago, it was like 4,500 nationally, 4,500 beds were available in ICU.
Yeah.
Now that's a lot of beds, because you think about it, like ICUs, for someone to get put into ICU is when things get really serious. But now you think about the drugs. America's running out of sedatives now. Sedatives are very important when it comes to the the worst part of this whole fucking condition is when you need to be intubated, which is when they stick one of those massive tubes down your throat.
Yeah.
The breathes for you.
Yep.
Now, they've run out of ventilators, the thing that pumps that intubation machine. And that's bad. They're out of that stuff. So what happens when another,
wave comes
20,
in fire?
they're getting like 33,000 cases a day. They're sitting at the moment about 10,000 serious and critical. That's double the capacity. So what happens when that number goes up another 50%? Like if that 9,000 turns into 13,500.
This isn't... The crazy thing about it is it's not including the people that have your everyday issues, the people that are having heart attacks, the people that are... Imagine that for a minute. You're in a position where a fucking ambulance takes... sometimes the ambulance can take a while to get to someone.
Yeah.
Imagine if that doubles because of...
quadruples.
Yeah.
Like...
It's quite insane.
There is 9,000 more people in ICU right now than they had room for. That is what's normal.
Do you have any, just leaning back on your mindset, do you have any tips for someone that may be listening to this, that because like we said, this is serious. The mental health side of things that's going on, not just to coronavirus, but to the mental impact. People are losing their jobs.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips? It might change for different people, I guess.
No.
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg had it right the whole time.
And it was right in front of us.
Ice Cube motherfucker said, West Coast motherfucker, smoke some weed. No, honestly, it will change person to person. It'll depend on, for example, me and Ben had a good chat about it the other day because he's having a lot of trouble with anxiety. And he's always had trouble with anxiety. It's part of his thing.
Yep.
So, his whole world has changed. And that's for someone with, Asperger's syndrome, it's a very serious thing.
Of course.
They're people that...
Routine is completely changed.
Routine and, constants and stuff like that. That is so important to people with even just Asperger's syndrome. Think about people that... I'm that sort of person a lot of the time. I probably should be on the spectrum. I probably am on the spectrum.
I think people like routine across the board
anyway.
anyway.
Routine's important.
Yeah.
Right now, every day Kyle goes down and gets a coffee. Because he needs to.
Yeah.
He needs to get out of the house and say good day to, someone that works at a cafe.
Yeah.
He needs, people need that. People need social interaction. We're a species that needs society. The only reason the human race succeeded versus the other species was because not only could we figure out how to use weapons, but we also figured out that strength in numbers is so much more important, and learned and figured out that we work together much better than we work alone. It's a great opportunity for people to self-develop. I'm finding I'm having so much trouble being motivated right now, but that's for a number of factors, because I'd much rather hang out with my kid right now. I don't know if I'm going to have that ability to in a year's time. What if this does get worse? What if, Australia all of a sudden laxes their rules a little bit, and we have
a second round.
We have 50,000 cases by the end of April, and
it's like a boxing ring.
Exactly.
If you let that fight,
You look somewhere like the UK at the moment. They're at about 55. What have they got? 55,000 cases, 6,000 deaths. Their numbers still increasing, and it will continue to increase because that's
mention the Prime Minister.
Oh, the Prime Minister,
old mate Boris.
And all it takes is the 55,000. That's what America. That's where America was 2 weeks ago. Remember 2 weeks ago when America overtook China? Everyone's like, "Oh shit, America overtook China." They're at 400,000 cases now.
Yeah,
that's a huge number.
That. Yeah. I did see that.
We're making a big deal out of how they're the first country to pass China in cases. China's now 6th.
Yeah.
It goes USA, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, China.
Although
leaning back China might likely be 800,000 cases.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It's going to get to the point where it's going to be too hard to hide the bodies. And that's why they're cremating people. But Iran's the same. They reckon Iran's hiding a lot of their numbers because it's just how it is. They don't want to be seen as weak. America doesn't want to be seen as weak. I've got a friend's sister who works as a doctor in a major epicenter in America at the moment, and she has just posted a whole bunch of stuff on Instagram yesterday saying, "Why aren't we reporting deaths?" Yeah. And she's showing all of the graphs for her district. She's like, "I know for a fact people are dying because I'm at work and seeing people die every day." We'll wing back into it.
Okay, we're back.
Oh.
Let's go on taking a piss. That's what's up.
Oh, I didn't go take a piss. It's just so fucking hot in this room. I'm like drenched in sweat right now. I smell like a swamp.
I just bloody wish I had a webcam so I could see that hot bod. Sweaty bod.
See the fucking... If I was wearing makeup right now, it'd be fucked. No, we're talking about how to address the mental health
Yeah.
problems that are going to arise from this.
Do you think that is the biggest
it's
biggest concern possibly that's going to come out of this?
Just look at us in Australia. Like, how many people have lost jobs? They reckon close to 500,000 people have lost their jobs. Like, that's a fucking huge number. That's double what we have. Sorry, no, not double. It's half of what we have currently unemployed in Australia. That's a massive change.
How do you feel about the JobKeeper in particular? About how obviously the Labor and Liberal are... Yeah.
I feel like...
in terms of the casuals that had to be over 12 months, how do you feel about that?
It left like 1 million people or something like that.
Because old mate that's a 17-year-old boy that works at Red Rooster fucking 3 days a week that earns $300 is potentially potentially able to get the payments, and someone who's just quit their job of 30 years and they've just decided to enter a new field that's primarily casual work can't get money.
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird setup. Like, you'll still be able to get things like Job Seeker instead.
Yep.
So, like, that's what I've done. I've pretty much just gone, fuck it, I'm just going to apply for unemployment.
How much is the Job Seeker payment? Is it $550 before tax or after tax a week?
Well, you're not going to get paid enough to get taxed anyway.
Right.
So, if you go $550 a week by 50 weeks, it's like not even, it's just what, 25 grand-ish?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, my quick maths isn't great.
It's better than nothing, though, isn't it?
You'll get taxed a little bit on it, but fuck all. Like, that's like, it is better than nothing right now, and it's going to be enough for us to pay rent. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I think that's you lean back on self-improvement, but also the other side of things is the other good part of this is that we have an opportunity to look at the things that are really important and go, oh, well, okay, in this situation, holy fuck, like food on my plate and my rent paid is what's important right now. And being there for your family and friends and stuff. And
like, the big change I noticed was like, I can't remember the last time our whole family jumped on and had a FaceTime. Like and we're all over the country now. Like mum and dad are in fucking middle of nowhere.
Who was on the FaceTime last night? That was all you guys, right? Yeah.
That was, I think, when I sent it to you, we probably had. I'll scroll back a little bit. Who was on there?
It was definitely mum and dad. It was Teddy was on the phone.
Nicole hadn't joined the call yet.
Yep.
And so it's got mum, dad, me, Rach, and the young lad.
Yep.
Ben Ryan, Joanna, and Ben's girlfriend.
Ah, yes, that's who it was. It was Ben's missus.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
And Nicole jumped on too at some point.
Ah, yeah. Yep.
So that's the first time we've been together probably as a family in ages.
My mum was really upset.
Christmas.
Obviously, I don't really give two shits about a birthday, but she was fucking just really mad and really upset that she couldn't come and see me on my birthday. I'm like, I suppose
and
that
people are like that. Like it's Kyle's birthday today.
Oh, it is too. Happy birthday to the old fuck.
Yeah.
Oh yes, Kyle, Neve, and Kin Charles have the same birthday.
Same birthday. Correct. Yes. And Bakes Rage Quit, the legendary defender for the
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yep.
The lad's born on April 8th as well?
Yep.
You beautiful. What a day.
It's one of those days. It's like I got 2 people on Facebook that's their birthday today. And then I've got yesterday I had like 4 friends with a birthday on the same day. I don't know what it is about April, but apparently every cunt was born in March and April.
Is this the first podcast you've done actually over the internet without seeing the other person?
No.
Okay.
No, I used to do a weekly podcast where I didn't see the other person.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. I didn't realise whether you used webcam or not.
Nah, back then we didn't really. The internet wasn't good enough for that.
I think I was just saying that obviously the editing side of things is a little bit easier when you're not in person, but I do think that I think this has flowed no worries.
Yeah,
and
I think conversation,
all flowed.
Conversation
it's nice.
Flows a lot better when you're in the same room. That's just the way we talk.
I have a much better. Sometimes I'm quite bad at interrupting people, but I'm better at it when it's in person because I can physically see.
You can see when they're talking.
Like, yeah.
I'm the same.
I've got about 10 minutes left because I've just got a message. To end this, I just wanted to go back to and pull it back to one topic that I've written down. Oh, we'll probably actually squish two quickly in. The first one.
No comment.
No, it's not. It's about Ted. I just wanted to know what it's like becoming a father. Yeah.
It's so strange.
Because we lived together for so long, so
I
I don't get to see that.
Yeah, and it's really hard because it's hard to really point at things and say what's changed. And I'm sure Matt's probably would say the same thing. It's like you just go from it changes so suddenly, but also in so many different subtle ways throughout everyday life. That
it's like
it's so bizarre. I thought going into it would be a lot harder.
Yep.
That it would be a huge change to my lifestyle, a huge change to everything, but also at the same time, not. It's such a strange thing. It's nothing like what you expect going into it. It obviously changes. It becomes more difficult by magnitudes the more kids you have. I'm sure. Matt and Britt having another one now. I think I saw the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Britt put something on Facebook the other day about it.
Yeah. Yep. So number 4 there. They've got a little tribe coming.
Fuck. You got half a footy team there.
Yeah.
Forward.
Probably fucking put them into Essendon and they'll fucking man up and actually win some games.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But it's you expect it to be so much more of an impact.
For example, just to bring it into somewhere where maybe I could relate. Let's say that we were back at Dennington and we were living together with Ted. Kind of the similar situation with Kyle right now, actually. Pretty much. from Kyle's perspective, or from my perspective, if I was living here with you, how do you think that it would change? Like, if for us seeing things, like, are you just? It's just more of a now I need to be there for my child as a priority now. Kind of thing?
Things like for example, video games. Something I've done for my entire life.
Yeah.
I could not remember a time I didn't have something like a game in front of me of some sort. That has taken a massive backseat, and not even in a way where I'm like, oh, I just don't have any time to play games anymore. I just could think of so many better things I'd rather do with my time now.
Yeah.
And most of those things are hanging out with a fucking kid. Matt nailed it on the head. I remember asking him about it way back when Trin was first born.
Yep.
And he was just like, no, you just get to it's just like you're just hanging out with a kid all the time.
Yeah. It's like a little version of yourself.
Yeah, you're like hanging out with a friend almost. It's just like you've got.
From an outsider's perspective, I see like people with kids and their children, and I just have fun watching the kids be kids, and there's because kids do funny things. They just have the way that they think. And
are you not on Snapchat anymore?
I am not on Snapchat anymore.
Yeah, I didn't think so, because I remember sending a heap of snaps to you at one point going, Steve hasn't read a snap of mine for a month now.
What is this cunt doing?
So I just went, okay, well, I'm not sending you shit anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'd send you the same shit I'd be sending to Kyle.
Yeah.
But seriously, and it's weird. Like, you take a serious step back in a lot of ways. You look at what's important today. First thing I did when I woke up this morning, I'm like, oh shit, kid will be up in a sec.
Yep.
And then sure enough, he was awake.
Oh, he bloody knows.
Oh, and he was awake. It's like he can smell you when you wake up.
Little boy, he thinks wake time is 4 a.m. Get up, Dad.
He did that on me the other day. It helps that I've got a pretty easy kid as well. He's been a real easy kid. And he just loves everyone. He's not a dog of a kid. He's not a dog, which is good.
If he is a dog of a kid, he's a golden retriever.
Kyle just loves hanging out with him because he's just a little dude. He hangs out with you and fucking comes up and shows you shit and asks you shit. And you don't know what he's saying because he's.
How far through his speech is he at the moment? Would you say
very little?
Yeah. So it's just a few words.
He's still only he's starting to string together sentences now.
Yeah.
He's babbling, which is a big developmental part of it.
Yep.
So they go from saying things like mum and dad and shit like that, like the easy single syllable words that you can just say and they'll repeat back to you. And then they go from that to this stage where they babble. And they just,
a drunk baby.
They pretty much how the way Mead talks is mums. That's kind of what they do. It's weird. They go from not talking, not being they can communicate. We did a thing with ours where we taught him really, really early how to use sign language to tell us when he was hungry or thirsty.
Yep.
So that way, when he was hungry, he didn't have to tell us a word. He didn't have to sit there crying until we'd figure it out. He could sit there and show us the sign language for I'm hungry or I'm thirsty.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And that was just something Rachel one day went, hey, that'd be a handy thing to do. And sure enough now, it's straight away he comes up and he puts his hand to his mouth as if to say he's hungry or thirsty. And you know what he means.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and it just means that we're not sitting there the whole time going, what the fuck?
Yeah, because I feel like my fucking fatherly instincts would be out of whack, and I'd be like, what do you want, you little shit?
And it is like that sometimes. You don't know what they want because they can't tell you what they want.
Correct. Yeah.
I know if he goes to bed and then 15 minutes after he goes to bed, he doesn't want to go to sleep. You know it's because he's taking a shit. You just figure it out. You're just like, oh, okay. But then you're like, oh, you little prick, why are you doing this? And then your brain goes, wait a second. If I went to bed and I was laying in bed looking at Twitter and then shit myself, I probably wouldn't want to stay in bed. I'd probably want to get out and change myself. And he obviously isn't in a position to do that himself. So it's like, speak of the devil, it sounds like he's up and about.
Oh, the little Lord. Get him on. Get him on to talk. He'll be just like,
he'll do this. He goes, hey, going. That's what he says.
Hey, going.
Hey, going? And you go, yeah.
Yeah, I got about 5. So I just wanted to actually end on something. You and Rory actually are probably the two that could have answered this, but I've got you on first.
Oh, God. If it's something that both me and Rory could answer.
Yeah. Why do you like to get naked all the time?
It's because he's proud of his dick, all right?
Yes. No, actually video game related. I just wanted to, I do know that there's people out there that do listen to this that have inboxed me saying certain things. And I would say that, at the end of the day, you surround yourself with the friends that have similar interests, obviously. So
yeah,
I would say a lot of people that listen to this are going to play video games. Apart from the fact that it's like the fucking biggest industry in the goddamn world, seems to be anyway. You play a lot of games that I would say are like indie and kind of out there a little bit. Not your typical AAA Modern Warfare style games.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up in a different time for games. Like when you guys, like your generation, well, I'll say your generation, you're still millennials, but you're on the lower end of the age range, whereas I'm on the top end. It's like
how many years older than me? I'm 28.
I think it's 35 this year, so 7 years.
7
That's
years,
a substantial gap, especially
that's pretty
in
much
like
high
video
school. Games. Well, it is, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen, like, I can show you the sort of games I was playing as a kid, and you were like, what the fuck is that? Like, if I show you a screenshot of Leisure Suit Larry or something like that, the first one, or the first couple that I was playing on my computer, like...
You're like, what the fuck is this
like
shit?
Sierra Point and Click Adventures. Sierra as a company probably didn't even exist in the time you've been across video games.
What video game do you think you've spent the most time on? Do you have one that you could be like, yeah, I've definitely 100% spent the most hours on that game?
Ooh. I'd probably say Minecraft.
That's interesting.
Yeah, just because it's been a game like
you come back to kind of thing.
I've come back to a lot, and when I do play it, I go through like feverish sort of runs through it. Yeah, where I'll just play it for 40 hours in a fortnight or something like that. Yeah. Like I binge it real bad. Yeah, and then but like binging it in a way where it's like for 6 months, it's all I play, and then I'll just stop. And then not play it for 3 years, and then come back and just play it non-stop.
So if you're adding up the time,
if you add up the total time, I reckon Minecraft, just because of it's been around for just over 10 years now, and in that time I've probably at least had a decent crack on it at least once a year in that time.
Sure. I just wanted to know in terms of the games that aren't the AAA Modern Warfares and that. For someone listening, do you have any recommendations for someone that wants to step out and play some games that they probably wouldn't normally think of? Like your strategy games or role-playing games or...
In my head,
anything
in my head, Civilization's one of those games.
Sorry, what was that? It was...
Civilization.
Oh, yeah.
That series. That probably... Like, if I went game series that I played the most of, it'd be Civ. Just because it's the sort of game that you sink 30 or 40 hours into in a go. Like it's not hard to spend a lot of time in that game.
Do you want to bring up your Steam list, or you got too many?
My Steam list, it's Steam list is really hard because it's only sort of in the last sort of 10 years started tracking it. So I've got like almost 20 years of history before that.
Yeah.
But like you look at Mountain Blade 2, which is a game that we've been looking forward to. Me and Lex have been looking forward to for fucking almost a decade now.
Yep, and that's just come out, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just came out last week, and you look at Rory, who's played 42 hours in it already. Like, I've played half as much, but if I didn't have a kid, I'd probably would have well and truly trumped him on that.
Oh yeah, if you were
but
during prime.
If I go off my actual
explain to the people what you used to do, like during your working time when you were. Let's say pre-walks.
Oh, shit, pre-walks?
Yeah. I remember you describing it as basically coming home, gaming till 3 a.m., waking up after 3 hours sleep.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I'd do that almost daily.
Yeah.
For years. That was what I did.
Who were the guys that you're playing with at the time? Basically like Lex and those guys?
Yeah, people like Lex and that. A lot of it, like, this was all pre-online stuff. Right. Well. So you'd play a lot of games at home or landing a lot. Like, fuck, we used to play We play, like, yeah, shitloads. I've got 168 hours on Assassin's Creed Origins because I went through a phase recently where I played a fuck ton of that.
Yep. Back to recommendations. Just give me 5. So Civilization's 1.
Yeah, Civilization.
So this is like... Civilization's still pretty well known, but it's... You know what I'm trying to say? Like off the cusp. It's not your AAA shooter titles and etc. Someone looking for something a bit different.
The Total War series is always good. Most of those games have been fantastic. Rome 2's a personal favourite of mine just because of the content.
Yep.
But like Shogun was really cool. That was about the sort of like Shogunate era of Japan.
Yep.
Like your sort of Stardew Valley sort of shit, like Starbound, stuff like that.
Yep.
I was a big fan of Watch Dogs 2. I recently picked that back up and just sort of like clocked a lot of it.
Yep.
And that game's fucking great. Jeez, that's a good game. Like surprisingly good game.
Yep.
For a Ubisoft mass-produced shit.
Yep.
It was full on. Another good time waster is XCOM, like the XCOM series.
Yeah.
XCOM 2 in particular.
I've been
really,
thinking
really
about
good.
playing that myself. Have you played 1 and 2?
Yeah. And the old ones too.
Yep.
What else have I got here?
Advance Wars on the Game Boy Advance.
City Skylines is really cool. That's like modern day SimCity. Do you remember when EA remade SimCity? It was shithouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Sims is actually something that I would consider going back to. I for sure could see Stephanie if she was going to play, because she'll play the fuck out of Mario Kart and stuff like that. Like people that aren't into video games will still play like your board games and stuff.
People that aren't into video games can play stuff that's usually really get into games that you can pick up and put down really easily.
Yeah.
Like Mario Party, every cunt can play Mario Party.
Yeah. But whether they can play it well or not, Scrabble,
Yeah.
Not every cunt can play it well, as we found out last night, but it is what it is.
Not meant to offend women, but
I'd say Wizard of Legend is a cool little fun one. It's like a dungeon crawler kind of fun.
Yeah. I reckon I've seen it before.
You'd like Wizard of Legend, I reckon.
Yeah. Gaming in particular at the moment for me is a little bit harder. I don't play as much as I used to.
Yeah, but it seems to be those you've got in the similar vein. It's like those strategy kind of games.
Yeah,
it just puts you. It's just interesting to video games. Are obviously, a lot of people's release and relax time kind of thing, but it can still be that. But strategy.
I probably should put Overwatch up there too.
Oh yeah,
now I think about it.
If you haven't played your
700
if you've played your standard Call of Duties, Battlefields, etc., then Overwatch is a cool little one because it's a bit different. Yeah.
That's probably like shooter wise these days. That's all I really play. And it's not because I don't even like shooters. It's just because I haven't found a good shooter in a long time. And I was a big fan of the Battlefield series. I played a fuck ton of hours on Battlefield. I reckon every Battlefield's at least got 150 hours on it.
I'm telling you, the day that they announced Battlefield Bad Company 3 is the day that I will just come everywhere.
Bad Company 2 is still... It's my second highest on Steam. Still.
Do you remember
and I don't think I've fucking played it in ages. That game is sick.
Do you remember Scary Movie, the scene where he's getting a blowjob and from Cindy, the Anna Faris' character, and then he just blows everywhere. He blows her up on the fucking roof. That's us.
Can we use a more like normal thing, like when Stan Marsh?
Oh yeah, of course.
Stan Marsh is just laying there covered in jizz because
he has to be top 3 fictional characters for me.
Fictional characters of all time. Oh, definitely. Just how easily quotable he is. Like he's going to become, I think, eventually. You know how you use The Simpsons? Like, so many meme groups are based around, topic on The Simpsons because The Simpsons can relate to so many different things.
Yep.
I think Stan Marsh is going to become like that eventually. Like, you already can use him for practically anything. Like, even that like, we were talking about it the other day, fucking playing Dungeons and Dragons, and our half-orc fighter went down. It was like, I didn't hear no bell when he gets back. Because they have a racial ability where they hit to 0.
Yeah.
Probably D&D I've also played, like, hundreds and hundreds of hours of now as well.
We're actually, I think we're trying to organise a session possibly tomorrow night, actually.
Yeah, tomorrow. That's right. Ben was saying Thursday.
To finish our first half.
Little bit.
Second half of our first little bit. We jumped into it in fucking just horrible times. You know, I wanted D&D to be a social event. I don't mind the idea of being online.
Honestly,
that's
it's
fine.
A very different experience for both. Like I've put hundreds of hours into playing it online now.
Yeah.
But I still 100% would prefer to play it at a table.
Yeah.
It's just more fun that way. It's just fun to be in the same room as people. It's fun to look at a table with a whole bunch of figures on it. It's fun to be writing down notes and shit and like just talking to people while someone else is deciding what they're going to do and say, hey, I want to do this.
Yeah,
it's changed a lot.
and you get to play that role playing side of things, but it's just like just like a podcast. I'd prefer to do it in person, but unfortunately Rona's decided to be a little bitch, and
Cyclone Rona has fig jammed us once more.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go now.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to have Corey hopefully on Friday. That should be a good one. At the moment, we've got 2 topics, and I literally think that those 2 topics could cover 2 hours. And that is conspiracy theories, 1.
Oh, God, why didn't you bring that to...
reason why
bring me back for conspiracy theories, because I for sure get fucking lit up about... it's like cocaine to me. Conspiracy theories, just fucking hook it up. I love it.
I will have Corey on for conspiracies, only because he asked first, right?
Yeah.
But you wait until you hear how fucking different our answers have been. We've already discussed a few. He's already talking about the fucking conspiracy theory about the Titanic wasn't the actual Titanic, it was some other boat.
No. Titanic definitely went fucking down. The Rothschilds fucking sunk that motherfucker because they didn't want the IMF to be invented.
Yeah, I didn't even know about the Titanic conspiracies, and he's like, nah, man, you got to look into this. I'm like,
you look at who was on that fucking boat, mate. You look at who was on that fucking boat. I tell you, I get lit up about conspiracies. I love it. I love that shit. Just because it's fun to fantasize about, even if it's not true, even if it is true. It's still fun to fantasize about fucking universe that doesn't exist.
I just can't wait for this one because I know that we've already argued about it now, and we haven't even got into the bulk of it. We're just going to bring up the Wikipedia page for biggest conspiracies, add our own ones in, and just go ham. And we are
Project Bluebeam, fucking
Harper's the weather controlling shit, isn't it?
Yeah. That sort of shit. Using lasers to manipulate weather and shit.
Definitely bringing in some, some of the dumbest shit like fucking reptilians and flat earthers, hollow earth.
Dude.
Jesus.
Round two conspiracies, down for it every time.
So we can do, I'll do Corey's, and then I'll bring you back. I'll get you to listen to Corey's one and my one, so you know our what we think of it, and then just be like, nah, that's it. I'm coming.
Same topics.
The big boys coming in, lads. But we're gonna. It's gonna be the first time on Friday that we're gonna be inebriated. Hopefully, if Steph gives us the day off, we'll be able to have beers here, and we'll be drunk yelling at each other.
I'll well and truly be inebriated for that.
The other one will be wrestling. We're gonna talk wrestling.
Wrestling's a really cool topic.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones where I don't watch it anymore, but I still think about it a lot.
I'm the same. And the worst part, the reason why is because I've watched a couple of WWE YouTube videos, and then the fucking cunt just recommends me YouTube shit all the time now. It's always WWE
mine's
top 10 lists.
Mine's going through this really weird phase at the moment where Rachel's been using my iPad occasionally, which just fucks up all my recommendations. So, at the moment, I'm getting all this fucking just weird shit about, people growing farms and shit like that.
Because she's watching that shit.
Yeah. I got a lot of cooking stuff, which is me in general. But then, what do you got? Just dumb, weird shit all the time. What the fuck? Some of this shit is just mental. I watched one video from that show Peep Show in the UK.
Yep.
Yeah, I watched one fucking clip from that the other day, and I have 7 recommendations.
Fucking YouTube always dogging. It always dogging.
Yeah, Oliver Tree's just done a new song.
Beautiful.
He's great.
Hey, I'm going to jump off now.
All right.
Thanks for joining me
Ditching.
on this one. Hey, I'm going to put some pressure on here because the whole idea behind this was that possibly someone else might host one day or host their own. So I'm just going to throw this out there. But I reckon that maybe either me, you, and Kyle should do the first threesome on the podcast, or
Yeah, Kyle will be down. Like, I don't know about Kyle, but I'm definitely down for getting
or
Kyle.
or you and Kyle could do one without me.
This is pretty much the shit we talk about normally.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like,
especially if we're just sitting out on the back porch or something.
correct. Just get a microphone and fucking go for it.
Ingesting things, inhaling things.
Yes, inhaling cocks.
Oh,
Cocks and dicks. I do just want to, and you can pick the song if you want for us to end on, because I'm just going to make sure that every single episode that I do, that I sing a song, and we can sing it together if you'd like. Do you have a song in mind?
oh, fuck! Off the top of my head,
I do.
no,
have,
not really.
I
Just
do.
start
I
singing
do.
a song.
I do have one. If you want to belt it out with me. We tried to do this yesterday, but Nathan, the fucking idiot, didn't know the song, and it's probably the most disgraceful thing I've ever heard in my life.
What song was it that you didn't know?
It was Michael Bolton. How can we be lovers?
Oh, I don't know all the words to that song, but I at least know the chorus.
Okay, we're ready. 3, 2, 1. How can we be lovers if we can't be friends? How can we start over when the fighting never ends? We just got out of tune real badly, up and down real bad. If we can't be every friend.
That's where I shit, I forgot all the words to the song. I only know half the chorus.
That ending is the best. That was the worst rendition of Michael. Michael Bolton's got to come and punch us in the fucking head.
Fuck. If he doesn't, I'll lose all respect for him.
Okay.
We
Thank you.
deserve to be hit. Can I just
Yes.
do one quick shout out?
Yes.
My quick shout out is that Carol Baskins killed her husband and buried him under a septic tank.
Yes, I believe that too. And I'm pretty sure that there's another episode coming.
Yeah, there is. Apparently there's another episode coming this week.
I'm fucking ready because I forgot to mention that other nickname that I could give you is Shakes Exotic.
Shakes Exotic.
All right.
I'm down for that.
Goodbye, Shakes Exotic.
See ya.